Freunde, was geht?
Friends, what's up? I'm currently in Korea, specifically in Seoul, visiting FilmLog. They are an analog lab and store, and they have a lot of film stocks, cameras. So everything you would expect from a classic lab. And in the last videos, we've already learned that such a lab does not differ greatly from another. They have the same chemistry, the same scanners, but what is different are the people behind it, the vision, and what they project outward. Today, I would like to talk with the people from FilmLog about what the analog scene in Asia and Korea actually looks like, how it has developed. And especially here in this country, where you find a photo studio on every corner, photography might have a completely different meaning. Additionally, the people from FilmLog have their own upcycling camera, as well as film vending machines that are distributed all over Korea, where you can buy film stocks 24/7. And we want to ask about that today as well. Friends, I wish you a lot of fun, and now let's take a look around the store a bit.
The reason we created the lab was, we had a slightly different purpose than regular labs. It was about the method of archiving film, which can be said to be the purpose of our establishment. So, our goal is this. For photos taken on film, it would be nice if they were recorded in my account by the roll as they were originally shot. So even after 5 or 10 years, when you access your account, each roll you originally shot remains. So leaving and recording information about which film was used and which camera was used at that time, I can say that is the beginning of our film lab. Initially, we started just as an archiving platform, but now we are gradually expanding our role. For example, we have showrooms that we directly operate in Seoul and Jeju Island. Here, you can find almost all types of films distributed worldwide. We also operate film vending machines in about 20 places. Because in South Korea, it's not easy to find places to buy film. You can't buy it at convenience stores or such places. So these vending machines are open 24 hours. People who need film can go and buy it anytime, and also drop off your exposed film rolls. Besides our 2 showrooms, there are offline vending machines spread across 20 locations nationwide. Because when I went to Germany, Rossmann sold all the films, and they also have a drop-off box, you know? The one where you can drop off films at Rossmann. I thought, oh, this is needed in Korea, so we added a drop-off box to our vending machines.
The account you are currently viewing is a FilmLog account filled with photos I took myself. Recently, it has exceeded 200 rolls. So when an individual logs into this FilmLog account, the photos are stored by each roll of film taken. So once the photo files are saved, they are stored on our server and do not disappear after a certain period. They are continuously kept here. But this is like a personal server, where only the individual can view them, as there is a lock button here, and others can only see them if they are opened. Our film log stores the type of film and allows you to register which camera was used for the roll of film you shot. So even as time passes, you can know which film and camera were used for each shot. And that's why we operate this FilmLog website. Earlier, I mentioned that you can share selected shots from your roll. And the purpose of these public photos is that on the main screen of FilmLog, you can find the photos I shared earlier. You can filter them by film company, for example Kodak and Gold 200. However, in a more advanced process here, for example, if you search for a Nikon 28Ti camera, you can further categorize and view only the shots taken with Kodak Color Plus and the Nikon 28Ti camera.
For amateurs just starting with film, a good part is that when you search the internet for how this film or camera shoots, you often see photos that have been post-processed, photos taken by professional photographers, or very well taken photos by manufacturers. However, The photos exposed on our website are just from regular people or amateurs like us. Since the photos taken by hobbyists are exposed as they are, you can see more images that are closer to reality, making you think, this is how it would look if I took it.
If we talk about both sides, the young generation in their 20s and 30s all have smartphones these days. But when they want to capture a special moment that isn't satisfied with just that, they seem to look for photo booths. And at those times, they seem to turn to film. Today, it seems there is a tendency to want to record the day with film or a photo booth when something a bit more special is needed beyond just a smartphone. We post on Instagram about how to take good film photos, as well as information about our operations and workshops. Not only on Instagram, but since we have vending machines nationwide, people often come across them and think, what is this vending machine? And then see that it sells film cameras and film. This leads them to wonder, what is FilmLog? And approach us. So, you could say that many beginners who are new to film cameras come to us.
In the case of our film customers, I feel that about 70 to 80% of them start with disposable cameras. As I mentioned earlier, in Korea, there aren't many places where you can just get film cameras or disposable film cameras at offline stores. But since we operate about 20 vending machines nationwide, even if they pass by without knowing, they find a vending machine with film and a film camera inside, which is very intriguing to customers. They might purchase a disposable camera for the first time, start with film cameras, and those who find it appealing, then move on to analog cameras, eventually growing into film users.
It's not just about taking pictures and leaving it at that. It can vary depending on what film is used. So let's try putting different films in disposable cameras. I wanted to provide a fun experience even for beginners starting out, showing how using this film in your camera changes things, and using that film gives a different feel. That's a big reason why I created the Upcycled camera. So, as we have shown on this platform, we are very interested in the fact that different results come out depending on which film is used in which camera. We want to provide the fun experience of seeing how things change depending on the film used.
I am personally involved in various photography photo walk communities and also manage a photography community. When I meet people there, I only shoot film. I'm definitely in a community that loves analog photography. At first, many people started using film when they went on overseas trips, family trips, or for a birthday with their partner. But those people, who initially thought they would only take photos with film on special occasions, eventually feel the charm of film and consider taking more film photos in the future, often end up taking a lot of street photos. So, as I mentioned earlier, it seems to change into moments where they capture special things in everyday life, even when going to places like streets, markets, or supermarkets.
I used to take a lot of street photos back in the day. It was about 10 years ago. But about 5 years ago, I couldn't take them as much. The reason is that in Korea there's a bit of resistance to taking photos of oneself compared to capturing oneself on video. This is especially true in Asian cultures, particularly in Korea. So, I'm curious if in Europe, when taking street photos of ordinary people passing by, or their faces, there isn't much resistance to that. It's very difficult, because there are many people who complain when they are photographed, so when taking street photos, you can't take pictures of other people. It's changing because it might become a problem later, but I'm curious about how it is in Europe and would like to ask, do you have any problems with it? So, taking photos in Korea seems to be more common for events, family gatherings, or outings with friends and acquaintances, and mostly focuses on things like cute dogs, beautiful skies, and landscapes. I mention this because I personally find it a bit disappointing.
Compared to when we first started the FilmLog lab in 2000, the price of film has definitely increased a lot. It has become more than 10 times more expensive. In fact, there was a boom in the Korean film market, but as Kodak continuously raised film prices at some point, some users started to drop off. So now I think it's become a bit more stable. In fact, on the one hand, we found it interesting that when film prices started to rise, we were also very worried. We were really worried, wondering if people would continue to shoot film, if it became this expensive. But interestingly, new people who want to shoot film keep emerging, and I find that very intriguing, and feel that way. When I thought about why this might be, for people who have been shooting film for the past 10 years, the current film prices are definitely much higher and can be burdensome. However, for those who are encountering film for the first time, they don't seem to think it's expensive, because this has always been the price of film for them. As people continue to start and pursue this film as a hobby, it means that they feel it is a hobby worth the cost, and that it provides enough value to enjoy. So what we always find fascinating is that, although the number of users doesn't increase explosively, there are new people starting this hobby every year, and we find that very interesting.
So, this is what I think about film prices. Compared to the past, they are definitely getting more expensive, almost to a frightening degree. While I do hope for more affordable film options, what's more interesting is whether people who are just starting with film now see this as expensive. So it's different. It's interesting to think that if you buy a piece of bread with a coffee, it's almost the price of a roll of film. So when someone said that if a meal and a roll of film cost about the same, then it's not that expensive, I was more surprised. So when you really look into its value, is this a bubble? When you compare it to other things, is it worth the price? There is a part of me that thinks maybe 10 years ago, when film usage was declining and users were decreasing, it was sold cheaply, but now it's just being sold at its proper value. On the contrary, we are learning that from the new users who are just starting now. Yes, it's quite interesting to consider how much this is truly worth, those aspects. And additionally, what I find interesting is that in the past, when I traveled, I used to shoot about 10 rolls of film a day because it was cheap. But now, I don't even finish one roll. Yet, I like it better now. I feel more satisfied with using film at a pace that feels more like film, rather than consuming it like digital as I did before. I hope it doesn't get more expensive. Under the premise of maintaining this level, it will continue. Even 20 years ago when I started, there were less than 1% of people who liked film like I do. But I think it's the same now. Strangely, they keep existing, those few people. We are working for them, and we want to keep finding them. So, there's no need to surpass digital tremendously, and we can't do that either. The role of film is that those who like it will continue to exist, though they are few. I think our role is to enjoy it with those people. Yes, growing too big might make it less fun. To truly enjoy the value of this, yes, that's right. I run FilmLog, but I've never learned photography. I started because I liked film, and since I found it so enjoyable, I wanted to have fun with it, and I still do. It's so much fun, even now. So if someone becomes interested in film, I just want to say, try everything. Do whatever you want to do. We published a film logbook, but if you want to read it, read it. If you don't, then don't. Do as you like. Because there's already so much to do with film. There are so many things to try, and as you do them your own way, I think you can find out why you're into film. So I say, do whatever you want. Because it's really fun, and it's a worthwhile area, I want to tell you to enjoy it to the fullest and give it a try.
So, when I say I'm shooting on film, many people might think it will come out very uniquely or have a film-like quality, especially those who are new to film. So, when photos seen in media or on social media are said to be taken with film, they often appear dreamy and somewhat faded, which might attract those new to film who want pretty pictures. But honestly, when you actually shoot with film, it's not really like that. If you take photos with film in really good exposure, with a good lens and in really good weather, film photos can turn out better than digital ones. So, seeing that film-like quality on social media, people who want that should perhaps dispel some of those illusions. Then, since you're taking photos with a limited number of 36 or 24 shots, many people might think that all the photos will turn out well. So, when you take photos with a phone, you take many shots. And if just one turns out well, you think, it came out well. But if only one photo out of 36 or 24 turns out well, you might think the film isn't good. They think taking film photos is too difficult. When I used to go to the darkroom, one thing the darkroom teacher said was that for a batter to hit a home run, they swing dozens or hundreds of times. So it's not something to lament if only one good photo comes out of 36 film shots. So compared to digital, which takes so many shots. So, as the CEO mentioned earlier, because film photography involves taking each shot with care, if there are memories of putting effort into taking any shot, whether it's an A cut, B cut or C cut, I think it would be good to consider all those shots as having turned out well.
If people are just starting to take film photos now, most of them probably saw photos taken on film and felt that the results were attractive, leading them to think, should I try taking some too? And start from there. However, when we held a film festival, we asked about 200 guests why they take photos with film. Of course, some said they like the results of photos taken with film and the color tones, but many gave other answers as well. Some people like the anticipation of not being able to see the film immediately, or they enjoy the process of carefully finding a subject for each shot. Others take film photos because they like the sound of the shutter. There are many different reasons why people take photos with film. I also feel the same way. As you mentioned earlier, when taking photos with film, the selection process is already part of the shooting process, and I think that process is really great. Once you start and experience film, you'll find yourself drawn to its charm for various reasons. So I highly recommend starting lightly with a disposable camera. Personally, when I went on my honeymoon, I only took a disposable camera and was very satisfied with the results. It's still a role I really love. So if you take a disposable camera and shoot outside when the weather is nice, you can get results and also have those fun experiences until you receive and keep the results.
I'll keep it short. When I meet people who are shooting film for the first time, I jokingly tell them, film doesn't bite. It's not a fierce dog, so there's nothing to be afraid of. So since there are many new films coming out, including Phoenix films, and interesting things keep coming out, I want to say that it would be nice to use them with a light and fun attitude, not too seriously or heavily. I'm not really in a position to give advice to anyone.
제가 막 누구한테 조언할 깜냥은 아니긴 합니다. 네, 감사합니다.
So that was it for the interview part. Many thanks to the people from FilmLog who made all this possible. And if you're wondering why the video might be a little different than usual, I filmed the video alone this time, or rather with my sister, who kindly translated all the Korean answers for me. That wasn't easy at all. Nevertheless, I hope you could take something away from it, and if you don't want to miss anything like this in the future, everything about analog photography, the people behind it, or a bit of inspiration, then definitely subscribe. Feel free to write in the comments who we should visit next, and otherwise, all that's left for me to say is a big thank you to everyone watching out there, as well as the people from FilmLog. Now, all that's left for me to say is grab a camera, load a film, and take some awesome shots. See you soon.